Good evening. We return once again to the story of Caius, Spellsword, Dunmer, Eternal Champion, Agent of the Emperor of Tamriel, finest career in Tamriel, and now vampire. I believe we have just turned in the totem to Lady Brisenia.
Lady Brisenia asked me to bring her the Totem of Tiber Septim. It is hidden in the treasury of Castle Daggerfall. She fears that assassins are after her and will send me a letter revealing her current whereabouts.
No. We are waiting to hear from Lady Brisenia. Alright, we've heard from the Underking. We've heard from Gortwog. We've heard from the King of Worms. Do I recall where she was last? No, I do not know. I will admit I'm at a little bit of a loss right now. So let's see if I can find one of the other. You know what? Let's see if the royal family will give us anything to work on while we're waiting. It's not the most exciting option that I have, but we'll give ourselves one more chance to try and do something. And then maybe if we do not hear from our contact, we will consider giving it to the... Oh, who was it? There was the King of Worms and there was the Underking. And I want to make sure I know which one is which. Right, I think it was the Underking that we wanted to hand it off to. Oh, actually, maybe it makes sense not to go anywhere near where the main powers are. Well, let's see. This might have negative consequences, but I don't think talking to any of the nobility in Daggerfall will force me to give them the totem.
All are free to petition His Highness at this time. Do not stray from the audience chamber, lest ye have royal blessing to do so. Always speak politely to the king and queen, and above all, cast no spells while within these walls. Do ye agree with these terms?
Yes.
Caius, always a pleasure to see you, my dear friend, especially when I need help. I need to get this holy relic to my contact at Mid-Market Rock, but I've received word that a vampiric tribe does not want my courier to get through. You're the only person I can think of who might get it through. Will you try?
Why not?
Ah, marvelous. Here's the holy relic. Now, Endware Masterwing needs to have it in the School of Julianos in 3 days. Look for a man in a blue coat. If you can't miss him. And don't get yourself killed in the process. Good luck, and thank you.
All right. Mid-Market Rock it is. Before we do that, after nailing the vampire,
A cheerful young woman hands you a letter and then walks away whistling.
let's see what this letter says.
Duke Nubik Viron, that thrice damned Lady Bridwell, has finally acquired the holy relic that he has always been looking for, and is sending it over to Andware Masterwing. You know as well as I that the Harvenu cannot allow it to arrive. Lady Bridwell is expecting us to try and stop him, so he's looking for a dark elf named Caius to act as courier. Do not underestimate this one. Caius has quite a reputation. Bring the holy relic to me at once. I will wait for you in the Wickcroft residence in Longtail Heights. Yours in death, Christira Yomham. Oh, Caius, if you are reading this, you must have gotten the totem and escaped from the dungeons of Castle Daggerfall. I am in Umbasta Ij of the Dragontail Mountains at the Masterwing residence. Bring the totem there as soon as possible.
Important information.
A page dressed in the livery of Sentinel hands you a letter and silently walks away.
What is it with his 3 a.m. careers?
Caius, you are on a quest to retrieve the totem of Tiber Septim. Do not deny it, my spies have confirmed this. The totem is not for commoners, and you cannot use it. Bring the totem to me, and I will pay you 100,000 gold pieces. It is a king's ransom by any measure. You should be warned, neither Wayrest nor Daggerfall are loyal to the throne. I am the only regent on Iliac Bay that can be trusted. The others will only use it to destroy me.
That sounds like a you problem. So we will turn in this quest and then we will immediately meet with our contact. We're looking for a blue robe.
Ah, good to see you guys. And the Holy Relic, too. Excellent. Those Night Stalkers were wise to try and keep this out of my hands. Here's a little gold for your trouble. Take care of yourself. A portly man bearing the standard of Wayrest approaches you with a letter. His somber expression never changes, and he speaks not a word. He leaves as silently as he arrived. Noble Caius, my ears have picked up rumors that you are searching for the Totem of Tiber Septim. I too have hunted for this wondrous artifact for many years. Should you find it, I would pay you a healthy ransom, enough to buy your own ship. I'll match or exceed any price that Gothrid or Akarithi might offer. Never forget your real friends. King Edwir of Wayrest.
This will be a little bit of a challenge because we are looking for the Fosher residence. And there is no indication where we might find that. Admittedly, normally the residences we need to visit tend to look a little bit like this. But that may just be a coincidence. If we find a nearby tavern, we'll ask them, but we won't go searching for it individually. Okay, this may be it. That's the normal pattern that we've seen. Well, we're 2 for 2 now. Apparently there is no way in here other than climbing over the fence. Whoops. gonna say, did I just need to use it for levitate? Alright, we checked these ones out, so we'll head west, and that will also take us to a tavern.
The Green Griffin. To be honest, I know nothing about that, Caius. Very sorry.
Does anyone know where Lily Brzezinja is?
The best way to the Fascia residence is north of where we're standing.
Well, that gives me something. Now, they didn't say draw it on my map, so it's possible that it's further north. But then we've also tried that area before. It's tedious to do this, but I might actually start marking which ones haven't worked out just so I don't repeat. Oh, wait, it's right here. Oh, well, that worked. You're kidding me. All right. I am really bad at this. Hopefully I can find Lady Brzezinja without having to go through either one of those doors.
Your Emperor will be most grateful. The Totem could have started a civil war in the wrong hands. Thank you, Caius. You must now away to Nilfgaard. She holds the key to the Mantella. Free the Mantella, and the Emperor controls the great Numidium through the Totem. The unmistakable voice of Nilfgaard speaks softly in your head. I see that the Totem has found its way into the hands of someone with royal blood. I think it is time that you paid me another visit here in Shadowgans, Caius. Your work is not yet done.
Sounds like we're getting near the end. Got it that time. assumption that this is the end. And while we were on the boat, let's get a little reading in. Let's go for the pig children.
The Pig Children. No one, not the oldest dark elf of Mount Dagoth-Ur or the ancient sage of Solitude, no one can recall a time when the orc did not ravage our fair Tamriel. Whatever foul and pestilent daedra of oblivion conjured them could scarcely have created a more constant threat to the well-being of civilized races of Tamriel. Orcs are thankfully easy to recognize from other humanoids by their size, commonly 40 pertons in feet and 15,000 agonids in their weight, their brutal pig-like features and their stench. They are constantly belligerent, morally grotesque, intellectually moronic, and unclean. By all rights, the civilized races of Tamriel should have been able to purge our land of their blight eras ago, but their ferocity, animal cunning, and curious tribal loyalty has made them inevitable as leeches in a stagnant pool. Tales of orcish barbarity precede written record. When Gestiga wrote of the order of Diagna joining the armies of Daggerfall and Sentinel to hold the wicked orcs in their foul Orsinium tower and burn all in the First Era 950, she assumed that any reader would be aware of the savagery of the orcs. When the siege was completed 30 years later, after the death of many heroes, including Gaiden Shinji, and the destruction of Orsinium scattered the orc survivors throughout the Rothgarian mountains, Gestagia wrote, "The people rejoiced, for their ancient enemy was dispersed." Obviously, the orcs have been terrorizing the region of Iliac Bay ever since the early years of the First Era.
This makes me want to give the totem to the orcs now. That was a quick one, so...
Story of Lysirius. In ancient times there lived a hero named Lysirius. He fought against the Akavari slave traders and single-handedly slew hundreds. Despite his valor, Lysirius's army was routed and scattered to the four winds. Lysirius fled into the moors to escape the Akavari chariots. Far from the lands of men, Lysirius entered the blasted lands. At the heart of this forsaken landscape, he met the Worm. The great scaly beast mocked the mighty blows of Lysirius's enchanted spear. It melted the shield Fearstruck, a gift from the Daedra Boethia, with a single blast of its fiery breath. Lysirius, seeing that he could not defeat the creature by force of arms, surrendered.
Wait, I think this might be the one where he takes out the tooth. Oh, it's not the tooth, that was, but we have read this one before. Alright. That's it for reading then. Oh yes, this joy. How many times have I failed that? Oh. And apparently I need to go back to the cart just to get rid of the excess weight. assuming there is any. It may just be coin. Yeah, it's almost certainly all my gold. Alright, well, we're not fixing that, so. Even Orker strength.
Only crowned heads will hold the totem true. First is one who killed, but did not kill another. Second is one who is too devoured by its young. Third is one who made one slave and many free. Fifth are two who compete for mud. Sixth is one who brings a home to the homeless. Seventh is one who lords all, but does not lord it all. I do not know who of the seven is most worthy of the power. For too long I have felt my passions make me mad. Sometimes the fate of a world hang on the decision of one person. You have chosen who will command the great Numidium. You bear the burden for the consequences. I send you now to the Mantellan Crux, the safeguarded prison of the Mantella. Look for a green jewel of unusual size. Merely touch the Mantella, and it is freed. You'll be transported back to my side.
Interesting. First one who killed but did not kill another. Who was devoured by its young. Made one slave and many free. Compete for mud. Home to the homeless. Lords all but does not lord it all. Seventh has to be the emperor. Oh boy. Wow. And I don't have the spell points. Yeah, well, that's not too surprising. Oh, come on. Oh, wait. No, that was me interacting with that statue. Or maybe not. Well, this is off to a good start. So apparently those liches don't count in for trying to or maybe they do. Either way, I need to kill something before I can heal. So this save might be particularly tough. I might have a potion to help. See ya. think I would find this puzzle a lot more interesting if it wasn't, hey, here are 4 arbitrary doors. You gotta open them in the right order, otherwise nothing happens. Wow, what a well-designed little puzzle this is. I'm having the time of my life. Alright. I think I'm gonna try these things one at a time. Did we get her? I hope we did. At least this thing offers some vampirism. Oh, Jesus. Hopefully it's not all like this. Oh, no. I landed on her head. Problem is saving at any other point here is even worse. Alright, clearly I need to use the healing potion before I move down. Or take advantage of the levitation. I survived. Alright, we'll see if we can get power. If we can't, that'll help. Alright. We'll try these one at a time. might try next is open everything but one. But yeah, the problem with this is just there's no indication at all about what you're supposed to be doing here. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't like it. Especially this half your health goes away for opening the wrong door. Maybe if it gave me some kind of an indication in terms of what it wanted. At this point, I'm just considering doing a walkthrough, but we'll try this one last approach of all the doors but one. Alright, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm taking a look at the walkthrough.
All right, from the Elder Scrolls Wiki. Once your vision clears after being teleported, you find yourself on a floating island in the middle of nowhere. Next to you is an ugly bust, apparently of a demon. East of your current location is a dangerous seducer standing on your path, constructed of tiny floating platforms. So dispose of her if you want. Right above you is another floating island. Levitate up to this island. If you haven't come with a levitate spell of your own, touch the demon bust and it will cast levitate on you. Once you reach the island, pull the lever there and float down below the island where you entered the Mantellan.
I see. Well, okay, here we go. I don't have the mana for for my own levitate spell. This is stupid as hell. So clearly I need that potion. Just gonna wait for the magic to wear off. Alright, apparently that did not affect the door. Alright, so again, I am going to consult the walkthrough on this point.
Below this island is another floating island containing 4 blank doors and 1 or 2 frost daedra. Once you have landed, dispose of the frost daedra and close the south door. Don't concern yourself with the other 3 doors. You don't need them, and some of them will even injure you very badly if you interact with them.
Again, completely out of nowhere. I'm going to try not to rely on this thing, but it's not looking good. Oh, Jesus Christ. What now? So apparently on the right side of this island there's supposed to be a cavern. It's really tempting to just do the walkthrough through the whole thing, but I have a feeling it will make it trivial and there will be no point in recording this episode, so I will soldier on, but my patience is already pretty thin for this. I also think I need to save often because,
Okay, once the lever has been pulled, float back up to the middle island containing the demon bust. If the levitate spell wears off, touch the bust again and fly up until you are right above the ceiling of the giant room in which the islands are floating. There is an open doorway in the southwest corner. Who the hell is supposed to figure this out?
any time here. So yeah, every step of this puzzle is, every step of this puzzle has been left for the walkthrough. And frankly, there are ways you can build characters who, like, you can touch the statue, but if you don't figure it all out in time, you just die. Anyways, we'll do our best. Oh, Jesus. Something just happened. No, apparently Fee is opening. We'll be back in just a second. Also, this seems like a great time to put a powerful soul in. This katana is awesome, by the way. I think we're gonna keep the start of this one as a base case. Now, here's an interesting question. So, let's say you were a warrior and you had no levitation. How would you have survived this? I'm just trying all these different rooms to see if there's some kind of a teleport. Yeah, so easy answer is you don't survive it. I will go back to the guide and see how you're supposed to handle that, but that's a pretty narrow path to put somebody on. If you don't have a levitate, you can get up, but you can't get down. That seems wrong. Well, at least we've dealt with this. Not that that seems random, just pushing random things. All right. Let's see what the walkthrough has to say.
When you come to a four-way intersection, keep going north. The west hallway dead ends to a room with two enemies and a treasure pile, while the east hallway leads to another room containing only a treasure pile. When you follow the hallway further north and up a ramp, you will encounter a vampire, destroy her, and follow the hallway further up. You will eventually come across a force field blocking your way to the west. Behind it is a Daedra seducer. Kill her from behind the force field since she cannot come near you. Follow the hallway further south, and you will come to a lever guarded by an enemy. Kill it and pull this first lever. This will lower the force field. Go past the vanished force field, pull the lever 3. This will lower the second force field right in front of you. Pull lever 4, follow the hallway. Don't pull lever 2, or it will raise a force field further down the hallway. Continue following the hallway until it turns north. At the end of the hallway, you will encounter an enemy, often a Daedra Lord. After you have disposed of it, pull lever 5. Backtrack all the way to the middle floating island where you first entered the Mantellan Crux. From the Demon Bust, follow the path of floating platforms. Dispose of the Daedra Seducer if you haven't done this already. Follow the surface of the island. Below the surface of the island is a small cavern containing a Daedra Lord. If you didn't kill him when the force field was active, destroy him now. Once he is taken care of, step onto the red carpet, and you will be teleported to the next section of the Mantellan Crux, the Great Pyramid.
So presumably because I'm teleporting. Yep. What a great idea. Encourage teleporting and then make a part inaccessible when you are teleporting. Sorry, I'm gonna try and not complain as much as I am. Of course. I am a little curious what this slaver does. Fun. Oh boy. I kind of want to see if there's something I can do up there, but let's just keep following this down. See ya. So yeah, in this case, levitate is in order. I'll admit there's a certain side of me that just looks at this and says, did anybody actually find this fun? I realize it's a wrong attitude to have, but I have levitate, so I don't need to worry about consequences. Of course there is. Just wait for the levitate to finish. Actually, come to think of it, it might be helpful. What? Oh my god. So unless I can bug it again, it's not gonna... I'm even willing to take the damage at this point. I just... Let me guess, there was something I was supposed to hit to open the top of that thing. Alright, back to the walkthrough.
From the point where you teleported to the last section, go west through the door. You are just in front of the Great Pyramid, but you can't see it because you are looking directly at the rim of the giant rock it is constructed on. Take the elevator platform down. Once you've ridden the platform down, you will encounter a gargoyle next to the platform. Kill it and proceed along the path of floating platforms. If you can levitate, this will be no big obstacle, otherwise you must be careful not to fall down. On the big center island is a graveyard and 3 vampires near a campfire, including a vampire ancient. If you approach the island, the vampires will very likely notice you. However, you can easily take them out with ranged weapons or spells. The sleep spell on the vampires will do you no harm, and the ancient has no ranged spells. If you can levitate, fly up to the island. There are 6 gravestones, and among them is a conspicuous white one. If you click on it, the following phrase will appear. Here lies the spirit of Benefactor, though his body still guards the way. Just take a note of the name Benefactor for now, so no solution to the problem there. If you click the gravestone 4, you will hear a groaning sound. This gravestone opens one of the trapdoors inside of the Great Pyramid. Clicking gravestone 1 will produce a groaning sound. Once you've clicked on gravestone 1, levitate down to the graveyard island. There is a cavern on the side of the island inside the lever. Clicking gravestone 1 has lowered the force field which previously blocked the entrance to the cavern. Pull the lever inside. This will open the second trapdoor at the bottom level of the... Oh my god! Oh, Jesus! So it was possible to fall down that pyramid and still not have everything you needed. Can't levitate, ride, platform 2 down. Okay.
Let's see if I can remember this. I hate to say it, I think we're just going to use the walk through the whole way because none of this makes any sense, and half of it you can't actually access with what it gives you.
Here lies the spirit of benefactor, though his body still guards the way.
Just gonna ignore that lich. See ya. I'm sorry this is turning out the way that it is. I'm not really sure how else to handle this. I'm sure you can hear me just hammering on my key to try and get this thing. I don't get it. It's just not letting me pull the lever at all. Funny thing is it makes noise when I hit that. obviously almost fell to my death there. Alright. Let's see instead if I have to do this. So apparently the lantern's supposed to give you levitate, and it doesn't say anything about hitting the lever, so probably made a mistake somewhere. And I'm out of levitates. Okay, we'll get rid of this guy. If I can. Now I need to hope that I get the right one. Maybe there's a map because it's numbering all of them. Okay, so this is apparently gravestone 1. Alright, I don't get it. Wonder if there's a way to just teleport to the end. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, maybe not. it takes you back to that. Let's follow this thing explicitly. Alright. Still using levitate, but just gonna wait. Alright, so I just want to double check that I've got this right. So this is supposed to be 1. That's supposed to have opened the doors for me. Now I don't have enough to cast levitate again, but I should be able to just rest. That's where we came in. And that door doesn't look any more open than it was last time. So I'm gonna have to see if there's any notes in terms of the thing being bugged. doors of a kind. Fortunately, I'm no closer to opening this thing. So I suppose in the worst case scenario, I can see if there's some kind of no-clip mode. Because apparently it is. That gravestone that's supposed to open everything up. Oh, this is gonna get bad in a minute. Alright, now this is just a puzzle. This is everything that the walkthrough said to do. So, let's see if there's a no-clip mode. Alright, so it looks like it has to be a bit of an exploit. Oof. Well, it sorta happened. Now there's the question, how do you, Yeah, so the problem with this is there's no way back in once you do something like this. But it does look like there is a door that's been opened. Oh boy. always get just that little bit of hope before. Alright. Let's see. I'm just going to open up another tab. I'm just going to keep the walkthrough right up in front of me at this point because clearly something's not working the way it's supposed to. As before. Gonna go to the graves. I'm supposed to ride this thing to the very top, assuming I live. Alright, once at the top you see a lantern to the west. Touch it, it will cast a levitate spell on you. Fly down to the graveyard island and open the trapdoors inside the Great Pyramid as described if you haven't already. On the way down, stop at the top of the pyramid. Destroy the ancient lich. I'll ignore that for now. Oh, there's another secret room. Gonna rest at the top. At this point, I'm going to start eating some of the old saves.
I guard the way, speak only my name, and I shall grant you passage. Well, I mean, it told us to pay attention to benefactor before, so...
Oh, now I know why I needed to kill all this stuff. Jesus. So the reason I didn't heal there was because I had levitate up. Just gonna take a moment. Apparently the lich is just gone. But yeah, could you imagine, apparently one of these doors is opened in the graveyard, so imagine somehow figuring out that mystery room. And then going inside here and finding a door that you couldn't open. Oh, Jesus. Tempting, but let's see what's going on here. This is really something. I mostly just want to see what kind of goodies I can find in here. Oh boy. was supposed to survive this, but let's see what goes on. Wait, so that you do a big long elevator ride so you can do another big long elevator ride. This game does not respect your time at all. In fact, I'm going straight back. I'm ignoring these elevators until I absolutely need to. Well, I don't see them. Sure. This will be my new experimental one. Why can't I? There we go. At this point, I just need to get my mana back up, or magicka back up. Are you kidding me? That, in one way, is a really neat idea, and in another is already frustrating on the sort of thing that is starting to wear on my patience. It looks like there's nothing that can be done about that cage if you can't levitate out. Oh boy.
Hear me, the blind god is a jealous god. Let his true servants lift up their eyes unto him, and the way will be easy. Hear me.
I don't know if this is referring to the flames or what. Anyways, let's try to survive this. No, this seems like this or oh no. I don't think I saved recently either. That's just annoying. Alright, that saves me some trouble. No, alright then. Again, I think we said the P1 was going to be the experimental one, so. These might be the servants. fun idea. Just randomly kill a player for doing what? Next time that happens, I think I'm just gonna hit the levitate. Again, just random damage.
Ah, at last, I was beginning to think you wouldn't get this far. A dreary place, don't you agree? And guarded by a pompous upstart. He's no more of a god than I am. Well, carry on. We'll meet again soon, unless you are not as foolhardy as you appear. One speaks for me, two serve me, six protect me, how many defy me?
Okay, actually the walkthrough's on here, so apparently there's just one that turns away from it. Yay, I feel so clever. I won't go to the next part of the walkthrough until I get well and truly lost. Oh my god. I just saved in a spot. I don't think I'm going to be able to get out of here. Never mind. Again, I'm trying not to levitate everywhere. suppose the good news is that with this katana and being a vampire, there's not a whole lot that threatens me here. Ouch. Now this is the same room. And I don't get to rest again. Alright, so apparently I was heading in the right direction. This slightly concerns me because I might have taken everything out already, so I'm not able to replenish my mana. Alright then.
Familiar voice laughs mockingly. So, Caius, come to pay your respects properly at last?
Oh, well, I guess it doesn't matter right now. Apparently there is a secret door. That is reasonably clever. Because if you wind up in this sort of loop, well, that covers my, oh. Try and make the best of this, but, I feel like I should levitate out.
Greetings, Caius. You dare much by intruding here. Nevertheless, I will allow you to proceed, provided you prove as perceptive as rumor reports. You may be aware that I am a master of the blade, but what is my other favorite weapon? Answer correctly, then arm yourself.
Again, I'll just rely on the walkthrough, so let's see what's going on here. Apparently it is crossbow. Didn't seem to do anything. I really feel like I needed more of this in my life. God, do I even want to know what this is? You kidding me? Alright, so taking a look here, apparently I'm supposed to use the sword as a ramp. Although, this looks like the objective. Nope. Alright. So apparently you're supposed to be able to get on the sword. I hope I have enough mana to do so. Although it looks like I just got enough mana to do another levitate. So there's supposed to be a door in this thing. I don't see a door. gotten well and truly lost, so... Okay, so I need to be on the crossbow, it turns out. Again, at this point, I've abandoned trying to make any sense of this at all, and I'm just relying on the walkthrough. I see. Stupid as hell. Oh, I didn't want to do that. So I gotta make this count. So yeah, the big problem with this is that, so I get what happened. I got shot up I got shot up the crossbow. And I was supposed to hit the sword, but of course, because the clipping doesn't work properly, I wound up dying instead. So let's see what happens when I do this again. I specifically wanted to avoid using levitate. But I sort of get what's happening here. The island's moving down. So then you use the crossbow. find the sword wherever it is. Alright. Good for it. Okay, I gotta heal some of this up. Alright, so up the sword, through the door. Let's see how much further I can go without consulting the walkthrough. I think this might be the same elevator that we spent a whole bunch of time on. Oh, I'm somewhat inclined just to go levitate. No, it doesn't let me. Oh, yes, it does. Something's happening.
Nilfalga cackles. Not so fast, Caius. Don't you want to see the result of your handiwork? Look now into the book of time. Read upon its pages the history of what shall pass within the next few days. Read fate as it shall be recorded upon the elder scrolls.
Great Numidium, its raw power tempered only by the blaze, crushes all the rebellious children of the Empire, destroying their armies.
Your work is done, Caius. The world is no longer as it once was. Such is the way of things. Oh, and if you tell my lich statue to shut up, the door to my chamber will open.
Of course, we already used magic for that. I guess that is everything. All right, so actually have a way of getting to the main menu. It just occurred to me. So,
I think I'll just switch to the main voice here. The text, or sorry, the actual reading, if the audio wasn't clear, says a great Numidium, its raw power tempered only by the blades, crushes all the rebellious children of the Empire, destroying their armies. So the Emperor uses the Numidium to crush any rebellions, and we restore the order to the realm. I'm kind of curious what the log says. Not much. So this is the time where I think we wrap up the journey of Daggerfall. So I have to start with an apology because I know the people who watch this stuff are probably a huge fan of this game. But I will admit that my enthusiasm for this was a lot greater at the start than at the finish. I have a tremendous admiration for the ambition of this game. And the implementation, I feel like, especially near the end, actively prevented me from being able to enjoy it. So some of the things that I mean by that, I would actually argue that I think the Elder Scrolls Arena is tremendously underappreciated compared to Daggerfall. Daggerfall is obviously really well known for the size of its map. But as we sort of tried during this playthrough, I did things where I was like, okay, I'm going to spend an entire evening traveling by horse and see what happens. So the sort of thing that you might do in Skyrim, right? You just walk somewhere and see if something happens. And in Skyrim, so far as I can tell, you can actually walk through. I've not really played it substantially, so I can't say for myself, but I am told that basically there is always something to do. Whereas here, you can, if you want, you can, ride a horse on, wherever you want to go, but you're just going to be staring at the back of a horse's head for however many hours you can stand. And likewise, there's tons of dungeons. There's a lot of different, lots of different quests, which will be presumably procedurally generated, although I know that apparently each of the levels are fixed. But there had to be some kind of computer generation in terms of the dungeons, because they have all of these rooms that just go off to the side and make absolutely no sense. And so I think that's the big problem that I ran into with this, is that in the end, most of the quests bore some resemblance of find object in dungeon. And because the dungeons seemed to be created out of these sort of Legos, it would, you'd get things like them being hidden behind hidden doors or magically locked doors, or just other things that that didn't really make a lot of sense, and as a result I wound up having to use the cheats. And then likewise, the fact that the clipping doesn't work properly means that things that I actually need to do in the game don't always work, and if I didn't save properly, then I need to go back a whole lot. So in one sense, I love how big the world is, and I like that they're trying to model a whole bunch of different relationships, but it translates into some unnecessarily frustrating experiences. For instance, the idea that gold has a weight. Okay, fair enough. And I'm sure there's a fun commentary on what it's like to do banking, in the fact that you need to go to the bank at certain hours. But then there's things like, oh, you became a vampire and you can't fast travel during the day, and oh, by the way, you take damage during the day. But you still need to be able to find houses when your quests tell you to go find a house. So even though there aren't people on the streets, you are going to have to go and query each house in this city to try and find it. And in the end, I just think that the there's a tremendous promise behind saying that there's this vast open world in which you can have adventures. But you actually need to I think, enable the player a little bit more to actually be able to go in and do those adventures. If the fact that, if there's 5,000 dungeons in this world and all of them have things like, the elevators actually move at a pace. So this was one of the first dungeons I went into. The elevators actually move at such a pace that when you pull the lever to have one go up, there is no possible way that you can go onto it. That's a problem. And it's why I felt bad about using the cheats, but I found it necessary in the end. So in this sense, I actually, again, the end of Arena was a little unusual in the fact that it seems like the main character was not able, you couldn't kill them. Instead, you needed to find sort of the last artifact of power, but that has its own sort of internal logic. And so in the end, I was able to sort of use the ingenuity of, you know what, I've been tearing down and building up walls, so why don't I just wall him in so he doesn't attack me, and then I go and take the item, and that was how we won. And that was something that didn't really require me to go to a walkthrough. That was just sort of me trying to figure out how to overcome this problem I ran into. And in some senses, the ending of Daggerfall should be this wonderful and surreal experience of, running up a giant sword and finding all of these secrets. But it, I have no idea how the player is supposed to make any sense of the dream world. If ultimately the only way to get through the end of that is just to know that you need to look up and find that secret room at the right angle. And then, I'm not sure how you're supposed to find out that Shigarath has a favorite crossbow. I don't even know if you know that that's Shigarath. I can't recall the exact... I think I've got the text here somewhere in the walkthrough. Yeah, you don't actually know that it's Shigarath other than the fact that I was looking at the walkthrough, so I have no idea how someone is supposed to know that it's a crossbow. So yeah, with that in mind, it just sort of feels that at a lot of points the game sort of folds its arms and says, "Impress me." So I think I would take the fact that I don't have these vast open plains that I can... So I'd put it to you this way. If I were to be given the choice between these vast open plains of nothing that in theory I could get on a horse and sort of manually travel between areas, or the arena approach where you fast travel everywhere, but the dungeons are flexible enough that they're able to incorporate the creation and destruction of new walls inside of them, I would actually argue that there is a richer experience to be had in the quote-unquote limited game of Arena, rather than sort of, just these vast empty spaces where there isn't a whole lot to do, or the interesting things to do wind up being... just wind up being sort of locked behind all of these more frustrating experiences. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure about that ending. After all of that work, I think in one sense, I really do appreciate sort of this big... I actually like how surreal the ending is. I think there are a couple of ways that could have... if it wasn't such a chore to get through, I think I would have been really into this whole journey sort of through a world of dream or magic or something like that. But because I felt like I was just sort of fighting the game to try and just get to the ending, to sort of say at the end, it's like, oh, okay, and, with the totem, the emperor restored order. I don't know, especially because at the start when they're talking about, the death of the king and whatnot, and oh, by the way, there's this letter, Pay attention to that. It sort of feels like the big payoff of the main quest is a little anticlimactic. One last thing I want to take a quick look at here is, while I've got the wiki up, is the vampire thing, because it seemed to be set up that with vampirism, you would walk around as a vampire for a while and then somebody would contact you for the cure. That seemed to be what the book indicated. So I'm just going to take a look at the wiki here. So it says vampirism in Daggerfall is a condition that can affect you after dying from a disease of the same name. You gain numerous advantages by becoming a vampire, but will have to feed every day in order to survive. In order to become a vampire, you must first acquire the associated disease from a vampire agent, so we got that by mistake. The chance of catching the disease is very low, 1.22% chance per hit, so we got quote-unquote lucky there. And it's possible to acquire a normal disease instead of vampirism, so getting the disease may take some time and patience. Level 1 characters cannot become vampires. Once you've had the disease, you will experience an ominous dream the next time you sleep. Now, we didn't get that dream when we got it because we fast traveled. The disease can be cured by any temple at this stage. If it is not, then after 3 days you receive a notification saying death is not always eternal. For some, it is merely a time of waiting. Now is your time of waiting. Be patient and all will be revealed. So that was how we found out that we became a vampire. After receiving this notification, you will awaken in a tomb. Now that didn't happen to us. We just went to our destination. Your character portrait will change and depict you standing in a graveyard, and you will have all the spells and benefits associated with the bloodline in the region after you... There's bloodlines? In which you died. After you awaken as an undead, you will be able to undergo the rite of acceptance. So you get a bunch of bonuses to everything. Oh, okay. So it looks like... Yeah, okay, so this is another frustration then. So apparently becoming a vampire is really cool in this game. So apparently there are a bunch of clans, and there's a whole undergoing a rite of acceptance, and it looks like, sure enough, with curing vampirism, somebody does ultimately contact you. So it's a lot like what was described in the book. So apparently all of that stuff we missed out on. Again, presumably because maybe we were on a fast travel or something like that. So yeah, it's really hard. Like, I want to like this game a lot more than I really did. But I feel that for the breadth of, like, for the, you know, the sheer number of cities and dungeons and things like that, I feel like the number of experiences that it gives you are actually quite samey. And I know that the total runtime for this is something about 3 days, and it's kind of hard to say that was time well spent. I'm glad that I did it. I mean, I'm glad that I'm able to say that I've now played Daggerfall and that I played it as far as I can. But I will say this: if you want to try Daggerfall, I can't promise you that the experience will be the most rewarding. However, I did watch Kilgore Trout play Daggerfall using the new sort of Unity like the Unity improvement of it. The map is so much better. You can put in some mods to make the visual style look better. It really does seem like the Daggerfall Unity sort of extension is the way to play it. So I'd highly recommend it. In fact, if I'd known about it at the time, at the start of this thing, I definitely would have. I definitely would have started it that way. But obviously here I was using my my GOG copy. You don't have to use the GOG copy, incidentally. It is available for free from the Bethesda website. So as long as you have a copy of Daggerfall, you can use the Daggerfall Unity, and it will give you some mods. And just generally, I suspect all of the mods will actually wind up improving on some of the things that I felt made this game frustrating. But yeah, so I'll put it to you this way. Arena definitely taught me to appreciate some of the things that stopped me from engaging with Skyrim a lot. I get this idea of sort of hanging around town waiting for the holidays to come up and to get good deals and such. I feel like Daggerfall did that a little bit less, and I think that was partly because I didn't really know when a holiday was coming up until I just sort of ran into one. And I sort of had enough stuff to do in between to sort of keep myself occupied. But where I felt like Skyrim was putting me on a really big treadmill, and I was ignoring the main quest. It's like all the dragons are coming back, but first, could you please deliver my mail? I'm sort of getting that that's how these games are played, and in some circumstances, it is actually desirable to sort of wait for things. And so I think if I ever do go back to that game, I think I'm going to be able to appreciate it in the light of the earlier games. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think if I were to recommend one of the two original Elder Scrolls games, I would actually probably say it's Arena, and I realize that I am in the minority in that. I just think that Daggerfall, from the very beginning, has a lot of promise, and it doesn't really deliver. It doesn't really deliver on that promise by the end. But that's, this is why we have lots of games. We have lots of different tastes. I will, however, say, while I can't necessarily give the most ringing endorsement for Daggerfall, and again, it's not to say that it doesn't have its merits. There are actually, I definitely think it's a game you should at least try at some point. But maybe to say that you should play it from start to finish, that's a little bit harder to argue. Definitely, it's a nicer looking game than Arena. But I also think that if you were to say, you know what, I've done what I wanted here. I'm not entirely sure that there's a reward for finishing the main quest. I think just drink your fill, maybe try the Unity version, and realize that there's no real points for seeing it through to the end, unless you're really enjoying yourself, at which point, more power to you. But while I can't give the most ringing endorsement about this, I am very glad that I did it, and I am, more importantly, very glad that you joined me for this little journey. I hope it was worth it. I appreciate the fact that there are people who kind of watched it regularly. And suffice to say,
this voice is sometimes very hard to sustain, so for those of you who find it ridiculous but appreciate the effort, I particularly salute you.
But with that in mind, that's it for me. Obviously, with this being the end of the main quest, I don't really see any benefit to doing side quests. It just seems to be a bunch of, find this thing in a dungeon and kill it or bring it back. We will say that we have seen the end of Daggerfall, and we have helped, I believe it's Uriel Septim, restore order to the to the Empire. Yes, Uriel Septim the 7th. All right. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you, well, I guess whenever I do another set of podcasts. Have a good evening, guys. Thanks for watching.